is Varanasi.
Varanasi.
Yes. This is the oldest city, continuous city in the world is Varanasi. 8,000-year-old city. 8,000.
Okay, good evening everyone. It's so wonderful to see you, especially the students who are here. I know this is a very busy time of the year for you, December, towards the end of the semester and before the end of the break, and maybe papers and assignment and all kinds of experiments in your labs and whatnot. So thank you very much for coming this evening. We're so delighted and honored to welcome His Excellency Mr. Sibi George, who's the Ambassador of India to Japan, for our dialogue series. This is our dialogue series number 12, but this is a very special dialogue series that we're having this evening. I'll be very quick for the sake of time to introduce Ambassador George. Ambassador George joined the Indian Foreign Service in 1993 and has served in many positions, including as ambassador to Switzerland, the Holy See, which is the Vatican, Liechtenstein, and Kuwait, and he's here as the ambassador to Japan currently. In 2014, he received the S.K. Sinha Award for Excellence in Indian Foreign Service. So suffice to say, he's one of the most distinguished Foreign Service members of the Indian government. And we're so delighted and honored, sir, to have you this evening. What we're going to do this evening, we're going to ask, first of all, President Fujii to give a brief remark, and then Ambassador George will be giving a speech. And after that, we're going to have the ambassador and president and our executive vice president in charge of global and diversity affairs, Dr. Hayashi, on stage here. They'll have a little bit of dialogue here and then open up the floor for questions. And I'm sure you have questions, and I'm sure the ambassador, President Fujii, and EVP Hayashi will be happy to respond to your questions. Okay, that's the format. So without further ado, I'm going to ask President Fujii to give a remark on behalf of this dialogue series and for the ambassador, please.
So, good evening, everyone. So I'm Teruo Fujii, President of the University of Tokyo. And also, thank you so much for joining us today. And so it's I'm really delighted to see you in person here. And it's a great honor for us and a privilege to welcome His Excellency Mr. Sibi George, Ambassador of the Republic of India to Japan, to our university here. Thank you so much. And briefly, India is one of the most influential nations in the world today, not just by its size, but also by its role in international politics and the global economy. And of course, it is because of the things like Bollywood or Bollywood movies, yogas, and also its, for example, amazing spicy foods, and which always fascinate all of us. And in fact, I'm glad to say that I traveled to India at the end of October, just before Diwali, or almost at the time of Diwali, and was very much impressed by the energetic and intensively, developing society, and really active. And also, it was really impressive to see this cultural tradition of the country itself. And that made the kind of very interesting, contrast in between. That was really impressive for me. And in fact, in 2022, our two nations celebrated the 70th anniversary of diplomatic relation, and a relationship that, in fact, dates back, centuries. Including the introduction of Buddhism to Japan. That is, if I'm correct, it's a 6th century. And that is via the Korean Peninsula. So since Japan and India have built the steady relationship until today, And I think now it's high time for us to step up and begin more vigorous academic exchanges. And in fact, the University of Tokyo has also a long-standing relationship with India as well. So this includes visits from notable figures such as the poet Rabindranath Tagore, and that was in 1916, and Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru in 1957. And in fact, he presented us with a portrait of Tagore that you can see in our main library. So today, we continue to strengthen these ties through various research collaborations with Indian universities, including the Indian Institute of Technology, for example, in Hyderabad, and where some of our former and current professors contributed to designing key academic buildings there. And starting next year, we are excited to launch a student exchange program with OP Jindal Global University in Delhi. And additionally, the University of Tokyo is leading a project of Japan's Ministry of Education, which aims at increasing the number of students from India and other South Asian nations studying in Japan. So Indian universities and companies are integral to our global research and education strategy, and we deeply value their partnership. And we look forward to providing more opportunities for our students to explore India's rich culture and society, while also fostering mutual understanding. So today's event is a testament to our commitment to deepening the ties between our university and India. And I'm eager to hear Ambassador George's insights and to have a dialogue with him and also with our students. And I think you must have many, many questions afterwards. We want to envision a bright future of collaboration between the University of Tokyo and the people of India. Thank you so much.
Thank you, President Fujii. So now we're going to ask Ambassador George to come to the podium and deliver a short speech before our discussion and dialogue. Ambassador?
I speak from here?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Am I audible? Yes. Dr. Teruo Fujii, President of Tokyo University, Professor Kaori Hayashi, Executive Vice President, Professor Eugene Yaguchi, Vice President, Tokyo University, distinguished guests, dear friends, good evening. I'm very happy to be here at the oldest and most prestigious universities in Japan. I thank President and the leadership of the university for all that they have done in connecting with India. So I'm very happy to be here. And what I would do is that I would run you through a few slides and explain or narrate an India story. And I'll be very happy to make it interactive. If you have any questions, I would be happy to take questions. I have been in Japan now for 2 years. But my engagement with Japan started almost 20 years back, actually 24 years back. So I visited Japan in 2000. I was the desk officer, we call it in the Ministry of External Affairs, the key person who was handling Japan those days. And I did it for 4 years. So that I got familiarized very closely with India-Japan relationship. And what I have seen in the last 2 years when I came here is a completely transformed relationship. In the last 20 years, our relationship has transformed from a G to G, government to government relationship, into a B to B relationship. Of course, G to G is very important. then it became a B2B relationship. And of course, there are other elements. And one of the most important element in our relationship is the India-Japan people-to-people connect. And today, what we have is a special strategic and global partnership. We call it special. Why is it special? I always believe that it is special because we have no history of conflict. India and Japan has only history of friendship. That is the base on which we build our relationship. Bilateral, plurilateral, multilateral, and of course people-to-people connect. What I will start with is a geopolitical scene in our region, and this is Indo-Pacific. I am sure that each one of you have heard about Indo-Pacific. Indo-Pacific is a confluence of Indian Ocean and Pacific Ocean. It is Prime Minister Abe of Japan who went to the Indian Parliament in 2006 and made this statement, the confluence of the two seas. Of course, Indian Ocean and Pacific Ocean have always been there as a connected link, but to identify it as a geopolitical entity and see how it connects our two countries is a very important initiative which he has taken. And if you look at, this is a highlighter also. I need to press somewhere. Okay, thank you very much. No. I'm sorry. The red one, no? Yeah. I'm sorry about that. Yes. This is India. And this is a map, as you know, it's a, what is it? Anybody? Is it upside down? Of course not. This is how you should look at the world, isn't it? Because both India and Japan are maritime powers. India is here. You can see the coastal areas of India, huge. And all the ocean, Indian Ocean, is here. And then, of course, Japan. And what connects us is the sea, the two seas. And why is it important? Let us take just one aspect. Japan's energy security. 90% of your oil comes from here. 90% of your fossil fuel come from here. No, I went back. Now let me come back. How do I go back? This one? Yes. So 90% of your oil comes from this area. And the sea lane that it takes from here to Japan is through the Arabian Sea, the territorial waters of India, Indian Ocean, Bay of Bengal, and Andaman Nicobar Islands here, Malacca Strait, South China Sea to Japan. This sea lane is crucial for Japan, for its energy security. And I am very happy that in this challenging geopolitical situation, India is playing a very important role to ensure the security of the sea lanes. We have at least 100 ships of the Indian Navy and the Coast Guard in this area guarding the sea lanes, which ensures that, one example, that oil reaches Japan without any disruption. A disruption of just few hours can actually cost a lot of money. Okay. So Japan is for Japan, that makes India an indispensable partner. That is what Prime Minister Kishida, when he came to India in 2023 and spoke about the FOIP 2, Free and Open Indo-Pacific 2.0, he mentioned about India as an indispensable partner in Indo-Pacific. Now, let me take it from the other angle. Why is this region important for India? For us, almost all the major business partners of India are on this side. Look at ASEAN, a major partner for us. Look at Japan, a major business partner. Look at South Korea. Look at Australia, and all the way to the Americas. So this sea lane is again very important for us. Any developments in this part of the world has a significant impact on us. Similarly, any development in this part of the world, the Indian part of the world, has a significant impact on Japan. That makes us indispensable partners. Also connected with the maritime connect. Now, I will take 1 minute to just show the Quad countries among these. You know, you have heard about Quad. Anybody who hasn't heard about Quad? Everybody has heard about Quad? Quad is a group of 4 countries for like-minded countries, countries which believe in democracy, countries which believe in values. We share the values. Okay, these 4 countries, India, Japan, US, Australia, in Indo-Pacific, we came together and formed what is called Quad, the quadrilateral, which are those India, Australia, US, and Japan. This looks like a quadrilateral, no? This is the 4 countries which came together. And again, what connects us is the sea, one most importantly. Now let me go to the next one. Yes, I mentioned about the maritime connect. But among the 4 Quad countries, India is the only country which has a land border with Asia. That makes it India a continental power too. So, and we have, if you look at it, India has around 3,400 kilometers of border with China, direct border with China. Okay, that, and look at how close it is the Middle East with us, how close is Africa with us, and how close is the other regions of Southeast Asia with us. So it's a key position. So that is one of the reasons why we need to connect very well in our relationship. Now I will take you to a geopolitical scene where we live today. When you talk about Indo-Pacific geopolitics, these are the concepts which come up. Okay, I mentioned about Quad. Of course, I'm sure that you know about many of the other ones, like FOIP. FOIP, you know what it is? Free and Open Indo-Pacific. This is again something which was coined by former Prime Minister Abe-san. And now it is being continued by other governments. You heard about all these various concepts which connects. For example, you heard about AUKUS. Yeah, that's another interesting concept you could. I'm sure you heard about dashed lines. Anybody? Dashed lines are a set of lines which is drawn by one country in the South China Sea. Okay, so it's all geopolitics I'm talking about. Each of these concepts can be studied well, and it gives you an understanding of the geopolitical scene where we actually play. And let me take you to the other one. I mentioned about geopolitics, and when it comes to geoeconomics, each of these concepts are again very important. Quantum computing. The world is now looking at each of these issues. You know what is friendshoring? You can see here, friendshoring. For example, what does friendshoring means? In today's world, when we face economic security, to avoid economic coercion, we do connect with the friends. So if a Japanese company invests in India and India becomes part of the supply chain to Japan, that is friendshoring. I said we have no history of conflict, we have only history of friendship. If a Japanese company invests in India, it is friendshoring. If a Japanese company invests in US, it is ally shoring. Yes, ally shoring, because you are parking your investment supply chain in an ally. Okay, so, and de-risking, I'm sure that you heard about de-risking. Okay, if you put all your eggs in one basket, and if that basket refuses to deliver, then you have a risk. To avoid that, in geoeconomics, you go for de-risking. Friendshoring is the best way to do, and India is your best friend, because every Indian believes in the prosperity of Japan, and we feel happy when Japan does well. So always look at India as a friend who believes in our partnership. So any questions you can ask me. Next one. And today's geoeconomics, what is the most important things? Chips. I just coming back from a Japan Semicon 2024, which the concluding remarks I delivered there. And I was happy to see 500 companies, participants participating in these events, in the gala which was going on for the last 3 days. This is again a geoeconomics, geopolitical scene which I have taken from the Australian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, their study on how the power shifts is happening in Indo-Pacific. Okay, you can look at China, a major player. European Union and US are major players in terms of business, in terms of their presence in the region. Then, of course, it is India. And India and Japan are working together, of course, other countries. So this is by 2030 in PPP terms. Whatever it is, you understand it. Now let me take you to another slide. I show this map of India in each of my presentations as a matter of a fact to present that this is the original map of India. When I see maps in Japan, sometimes I find that some portions of my country is missing. So I wanted to make sure that every map has this, for example, I see that some of this portion is shown as part of China, some portion of this is shown as part of Pakistan, which as an ambassador of India, I need to make sure that this is the Indian map. Okay, just for your, when you see a map, another map, just say that, no, there is another map, okay? Now, and you can, which part. I think President had recently visited Delhi, and also he went to Mumbai. Yes. And let me tell you another interesting fact. From our, this part of India to Japan is closer than from Okinawa to Hokkaido. Okay, so that makes India and Japan as actually very close neighbors. People believe that India is very far. No, India is not far. See, if you look at our history and our civilizational connect, we know that there is a close connect. You go anywhere, you will see an India connect in Japan, don't we? I mean, it's not just curry rice. It's much more than that. Okay, it is Buddhism, as the president has mentioned, and Daikokuten. I traveled everywhere in Japan and I saw a deity Daikokuten, which is Lord Shiva in India. So there is this connect. So it makes us civilizational neighbors. Then of course, when you have 1,500 Japanese companies operating in India and front-shoring, it is again a business neighbor. And we have around 100 dialogue mechanisms between our two countries, including an annual meeting of the prime ministers, at least one, but mostly it happens 3 or 4 times a year, and around 100 dialogue mechanism at the official level. We are political neighbors. So we are political neighbors, we are business neighbors, and huge people-to-people connect. So actually we are neighbors. So it's not that far. This is, you mentioned about Rabindranath Tagore, the president had mentioned about. This is India's vision of Indo-Pacific, as articulated by my prime minister in a public speech. When the oceans are open, when the seas are secure, countries are connected, rule of law prevails, and the region is stable, nations small and large prosper as sovereign countries, free and fearless in their choices. We believe in free and open Indo-Pacific, where each of the sovereign countries, big or small, rich or poor, will have equal rights. I am also ambassador to another country from here. It's called the Republic of Marshall Islands. It's a small country, but we have excellent relationship with that country too. And this for me connects with a statement which Rabindranath Tagore, the poet, who said some 150 years ago, he said, he wrote a beautiful poem about India, where the mind is without fear, head is held high, where knowledge is free, into that heaven of freedom, let my country awake. This was during the independence struggle, which inspired a lot of Indians. This, I just show some of these slides quickly to show how business prosper between. We have 11 dedicated JITs, and I am happy to say that President had recently visited one of them, that is the Nimrana, Rajasthan, and he visited the Deccan there. So I specifically made this slide for that, and I visited that too. It's wonderful. There are around 30 Japanese companies doing, and you see a Japanese environment there. There is a Japanese hotel, you get sake, you get sushi, you get everything that is Japanese in that place. It's not very far from Delhi. So these old JITs are now attracting more and more Japanese companies to come and front-shoring, so that we will have a reliable supply chain, and of course the Indian market, which is so huge, 1.4 billion people. Okay. Now let me take you to the next one. This is a survey by Teruo and Jebik, 2 surveys. Both said that India is the most sought after destination for business and investment by the Japanese companies. India comes top. I mean, I'm not saying anything about other countries, but this is this is the slide which shows that it is India. It is not my survey. It is by Teruo and by JBIC. This is a slide on the numbers. I said that we are neighbors, we are a political relationship, business relationship, cultural relations, but we have a problem of numbers. What is the problem of numbers? Given the potential in our relationship, we need to do more. For example, there are, in Indians, there are 35 million Indian diaspora abroad, Indian origin or Indian citizens abroad. But when it comes to Japan, I have only 48,000 Indians. So I need to work on getting more Indian professionals to come and work in Japan. So I need to do a lot more work on that, on both sides, to generate awareness in India about the beautiful country which is Japan and the facilities available here. At the same time, tell our Japanese friends that there need to be some kind of a India-targeted specific engagement which is required to generate interest in Indians to come and work in Japan. Second, the number of Japanese companies in India, 1,500. Not enough. This is the fifth largest economy in the world, growing fast, 7% growth. For Japan to continue its economic growth, India is the partner. We will continue to grow 7%, 8% in the next 20, 25 years. We have a vision for that. And we consider Japan as a very important partner in that journey. And we have success stories. There are 1,500 Japanese companies, and that is 5,000 branches. All over the country, you saw the JITs, Japanese Industrial Townships. And each one is a success story. Each one is a success story. I, of course, hear a lot of complaints saying that it is sometimes a slow process in India. We need to do more on the infrastructure. But I haven't heard a complaint that they did not make money. Everyone who has invested in India has a success story to say. And that is the success story we need to say. I don't see many success stories being told here. It's my job to tell, and that's what I endeavor to do. See, an ambassador is a salesman. First job of an ambassador is a salesman. Every ambassador is a salesman. But I'm very happy that I have a great product. The India-Japan product, success story is a great product. It sells. I am able to travel all across Japan, all the 47 prefectures, and able to sell this story. And I see the momentum. I see the momentum in universities. I see the momentum in prefectures. I see it among the business community. This month alone, I have 3 governors of Japan traveling to India, leading business delegations. So there is a momentum, and I'm very happy that we are able to take this forward. The other issue regarding numbers which I face is the number of Indian students in Japan. At any given time, I have 1.3 million Indian students studying abroad. 1.3 million Indian students. And how many I have in Japan? 1,500. No, not acceptable. Not acceptable. I went to around 50 universities in Japan. And what did I see? Every university has Indian students. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 20. But let me tell you, if there are 20 Indian students in a university, that university has an ecosystem where Indian students can study. Why can't we make it 200? Or why can't we make it 2,000? I am sure that we would be able to do this. What we need is a quantum leap. And that will happen. We should not think about, okay, next year I will have 2 students. No. Look at next year I will have 200 students. That should be the ambitious program. And I'm sure that when it comes to India, numbers are never a problem. I can assure you. I was telling the story of 10 peacocks India presented to a park in Nagasaki 20 years back. And today there are 200 Indian peacocks. Okay? So number is never a problem. We scale up. Okay? And now, let me just take a few slides quickly on the cultural side. This is on India, Japan, the cultural side. Of course, you know this is Bodhisena, who came to Japan, as Excellency mentioned, centuries back. And this is the Toyoji. Yeah? Todaji temple. Yes, I went there last week. It's beautiful. Please go if you haven't gone. Next one. Of course, this I mentioned. Indian goddesses are very much worshipped here. Bensatain and Goddess Saraswat. This, of course, Lord Shiva and Daikokuten. Daikokuten is here is business. Okay, that's why he has, a little more different shape. This is Kichi Joten, no? Yes, and you can see the connect of the lotus. Next one, of course, Ganesha, I'm sure that everybody knows about it, including that there is a parliamentary group in Japan called the Ganesha Group of Members of Parliament. So it's a good connect which we have, religious connect, cultural connect. Of course, we have this connect, Professor had mentioned about Rabindranath Tagore. We have all of them connected with Japan. This is Rash Bihari Bose, this is Subhash Chandra Bose, and Rabindranath Tagore and Swami Vivekananda. Of course, can anyone identify him? Anyone? Yes, please.
He was a judge during the process.
That's right. He is Justice Pal. This I have taken from the Yasukuni shrine. Okay, this is kept there prominently. This was an Indian judge who gave a verdict in favor of Japan during the Tokyo trial. The only one dissent voice in the thing. So Indian judge. It is part of the strategic autonomy's thinking even those days. Of course, G20, India was the president of G20 last year. If you have a question, I would be able to explain how it was different from other G20 meetings and what we brought to the table. India was also a very important player in Global South. This was a summit which we organized of 125 countries of Global South in 2023. Actually, we did 3 summits, one in January 23, one in November 23, and one in August 24. So it's our engagement with the Global South, which is very important in today's world. This is something in Hiroshima. My Prime Minister, when he came to Hiroshima last year for the G7 summit, he has unveiled the statue of Mahatma Gandhi. So it is in the Peace Park. Anyone who is going to Hiroshima, please go there. India, he is the peace icon of India. And can you identify this person? This is the Prime Minister of India. And who is this person? Second person. Tell me, anyone. What is he today? Anybody? The second person. Anyone? He is the Defense Minister of Japan, Gen Nagatani. He is the Defense Minister of Japan today, a good friend of India. This is the mayor of Hiroshima. Next one. Oh, sorry, I said next one. I'm doing it. This is Prime Minister Abe and Prime Minister Kishida with my Prime Minister. We have high-level exchanges. This, of course, is with Prime Minister Ishiba-san. This was in Laos. We have very good defense cooperation. I didn't focus on that, but we have very good defense cooperation. Last month, I have signed an MOU for defense technology cooperation for the Unicorn. This was the first MOI, Memorandum of Implementation, that I signed with Japan for technological cooperation in the defense technology equipment. Indian aircrafts were here, Indian ships were here, so we worked together. This is Quad, the Quad leadership in the last Quad meeting. What does India bring to the table of Quad? How is India relevant in the Quad? I mentioned about Quad countries. Why is India relevant? Let's have a look at this. These 3 are treaty allies. Japan has a treaty ally of US. Australia is a treaty ally of US. India is not. India brings something different. Okay? India brings, let me put it simply, India brings 1.4 billion people to the table. India brings the fastest growing economy to the table. India brings the largest young country in the world to the table. India brings a digitally connected India to the table. And to put it in short words, India brings 1/6 of the total population of the world to the table, but not 1/6 of the problems of the world. That is outside. We bring solution to the table. That makes India one of the very important partner in the Quad. a very good link in that. Also the connect with the global south, for example. That is what makes India relevant for Japan and for the Quad. Next one. Of course, you would recognize both of them. Would you? Tell me, who is this? Everybody knows? Okay, he is Prime Minister Ishiba. Okay, next one. This is wrong. This is I mentioned about Marshall Islands, where I am also the ambassador. This is the president of the Marshall Islands. It's around 2,000 miles from here. Something like that, yeah. So when I go there, I go through Hawaii, spend 2 days, and then fly to Marshall Islands back the same way. This is the president who visited my embassy this year. So that was the photograph. There is a theme on which we work, that is connecting Himalayas with Mount Fuji. So this was launched by my Prime Minister in 2023, and I'm very happy that every day we work towards further building that connect at every level, political, business, cultural, and of course, students. And that is what we need to do more. I'm very happy that I am here, and thank you very much.
Okay, so before we open the floor for questions and discussion, perhaps may I ask President Fujii to respond to Ambassador George's speech?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for this very, inspiring lecture. And it was so impressive that so as you said, we had no history of conflict in between. So then we're always talking about the solutions, or like doing things to make a world better, or a society better, or a relationship better. So, and in that aspect, I definitely agree that we need to have some more students from India. So that's a really straight message from you. And so that, as you see in this also article, so we are to promote. So first of all, my feeling is that we also need to let ourselves be known more in for example, Indian students, and especially for maybe high school students and also university students, what we're doing here. And so in that aspect, do you have any specific ideas that we need to do, or we can do together for the coming years?
Thank you very much. I'm very happy that you raised the issue of what more we can do in generating more awareness about Japan in India, and so that more Indian students can come to Japan. Let me give you an example. One of the target people for coming to study here is the schools. You need to start early. And how do we do that? Generate interest for Indian students in Japanese language. Today you go to any Indian school where foreign languages are taught, and you ask them, which are the languages available for my children, my son or daughter to study? The answer you will get is French. Of course, in addition to English. The second would be Spanish. Third would be German. Fourth would be Arabic. I don't see Japanese in that list of languages except perhaps in very few schools. So we need to have a quantum leap. Japanese is a beautiful language. And of course, we have connected with Japan than what we have with any other country in terms of business. There is more opportunities here. But language is a constraint. So we need to generate interest for Indian schools to take Japanese as a language for the students to opt for. That is first. Second, we need to have more connect. We need to have more connect with at the school level. It's very important because children. Let me put it very clearly. How many Indian students today go to the university thinking that, okay, I will finish my graduation and do my post-graduation in Japan? Very few. Very few. Whereas at least 50% of the students say that, okay, I will take a graduation in India, maybe I will do a post-graduation outside India. So that means there are people who can be targeted and brought to Japan. So we need to take a few steps like this. Generate interest, make more awareness in India about the good colleges and good universities you have here. You have amazing universities. Yeah, great universities. So we need to make that awareness develop in India. So maybe the Japanese embassy in Delhi can also help. Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Yes, at the graduate level also, they could study more in English. And then, during the stay here, they could also learn Japanese too. So that would be a kind of good combination of the...
One another point which is very important is that many countries, Indian students can go and study 3 years and then work for another 2 years. It's very important to bring in that as part of the student visa. Do an internship, because you come, you study, you would like to have experience from that country. But here that doesn't happen always. So it is another, I have in fact discussed this with the leadership here, with the Ministry of Next and also Justice, that this is something which we need to generate awareness in India and have the students to come, study and also work here. Thank you.
Well, that's a very also important part of the change in the system, right? So,
Yes.
yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Professor Hayashi, would you like to say something?
Well, yes, thank you very much, Your Excellency, Ambassador George. Yes, all your statements confirm that we are on the right track. And we just established a team, you and I think Shioyama-san. Oh yeah, yes. So we have a team, and we already visited 7 or to 10 high schools, and and I also myself visited 2 high schools and talk with students, high school students in India, and try to make ourselves visible. Actually, visible. That's the first step, I think. So to India students in India, that Japan is also a destination to study and for the serious science and so on. So yes, thank you so much for the very inspirational talk.
Okay, so I think maybe we can extend by 10-15 minutes or so, maybe if that's okay. So we'll have about 20 minutes or so, 20 to 25 minutes for questions. I'm just going to open the floor for questions. So I'm going to ask you to, when you ask a question, please identify yourself, and let's limit your question to 1 question at a time, okay? Don't say I have 3 questions. So let's just say 1 question at a time, and you can raise your hand as many times as you want to. And if I can't go through all of you, please forgive me. I apologize in advance. But you can ask questions to the ambassador, president, and our EVP. Go ahead, raise your hand. Okay, let's go with you in red. Yeah.
My name is Nanami Kikuchi, and I'm studying a student of UTokyo and measuring psychology. But I'm quite interested in India, and I have question about situation around northeast states like Assam, Mizoram, and so on. I know that Indian government and Japanese government are working together to develop there, but I want to know what rule is expected to Japanese private companies, for example, investigation or collaboration. I want to ask you.
Thank you very much. India has a policy called Act East. Act East. Yes. Why? What does that mean? That means, as I shown in the picture in the first slide, there is a lot of engagement with the east of India. And what is the gateway for India to the east? It is northeast. We have one of the most vibrant, culturally vibrant areas in the northeast of India. We have a few states there who are doing, now they are contributing immensely in India's own development. So government of India has focused a lot in terms of infrastructure development, in terms of skill development in that region. And that has a lot of connect with the east of India. I mean, the countries in the east. And I'm very happy to note that India and Japan together have established an Act East forum where we meet regularly every year to discuss how to connect, how to do more in the northeast of India. And many companies are now looking at to Assam. And of course, some of the states in northeast has a history with Japan. In fact, Japan during the Second World War, the Japanese forces had come to the northeast of India. So there is a history connect also there. But it is very important to expand this, our infrastructural connect. We are now working on a connect to the ASEAN through the northeast, through Bangladesh, Myanmar, Thailand, and to the sea on this side. So this is again part of our maritime connectivity linked to other infrastructural connectivity. So there is huge opportunity. Another point I want to mention about, I am seeing that more and more Indian professionals, particularly in the healthcare sector, are coming from northeast to Japan. I see the trend. So that is another area which we can really work on. And there are many institutes, the medical institutes where in the northeast where Japanese is being taught now. So there is a momentum. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. Thank you. Okay, let's go to the back there. Yeah.
Thank you, Ambassador George, for an inspiring speech. My name is Hayato Mochida. I'm a third-year student in Faculty of Law in UTokyo. I just wanted to ask about my understanding that many JITs in India has been a successful story, but I wanted to ask on the other side. And my question is, I'd like you to share your opinion on how Indian companies can actually benefit, strategically benefit from expanding their business in Japan. And so I guess Japan holds somewhat strong economy so far, but we're kind of struggling with the aging society and the declining of a population. And what is your view on the benefit for Indian companies to expand their business in Japan? Thank you.
When I say 1,500 Japanese companies in India, many of these are collaborations. Japanese companies have tied up with Indian companies. There are multiple ways of doing it. It could be a joint venture, it could be merger and acquisitions, whatever it is. But there is a connect with Indian companies already. But the number of Indian companies in Japan is very limited. Of course, you are a developed country. Your industry is very developed. India is not a manufacturing country. Only recently we started focusing more on manufacturing. We originally was a agriculture focused country, which 60-70% of our GDP was on agriculture, and much more of our workforce was focusing on agriculture. Things have changed, but changed to the services sector. We have developed a digital economy, and in that, so a sizable portion of our GDP now come from the services sector, particularly on the digital side. That is where we see that a lot of Japanese companies Indian companies are actually present in Japan in the IT sector. TCS. President has visited TCS in Mumbai when he was there. So there is a connect with many of the IT companies in India have with Japan. But we need to have more and more collaboration in the manufacturing sector. And I'm very happy to mention that in the new technology level, whether it is semiconductors, whether it is AI, whether it is drones, whether it is robotics, we have a lot of connect which is happening between our two countries. And I'm sure that particularly when it comes to Japan, you mentioned about the shrinking population of Japan. India has a solution. We have the largest young population in the world. I'm not saying that they should all come here and become citizens of Japan. None of them want to go out of the country and become citizens of another country. But they are ready to go out and work. Like we do in Dubai, for example. Have you been to Abu Dhabi or Dubai? You know that there is a huge Indian community working there, but not a single one of them are UAE citizens. They are all Indian citizens. They go, they get jobs, they work there, they bring their families, their children study there. There is a lot of vibrant economic activities happening. Just for 1 minute, imagine all the Indians from Abu Dhabi or Dubai just is out. What do you see? So Indians, wherever they are, they bring a lot of activity, economic activity, cultural activity. So that is one way to find a solution. They come, they work here, they make money, they spend the money and go back. So it's a win-win situation for our two countries. Thank you.
President Fujii, would you like to talk about our relationship with TCS? Or is,
Yeah, in fact, with TCS, we have a kind of relatively large-scale collaboration in between, especially in the domain of digital technology and robotics and so on. And so that's why I visited there and then discussed about the kind of. So now we are trying to set up a kind of new step forward and to think about the common vision together. And then based on that vision, that we would like to proceed some more concrete structure of collaboration. So that and then TCS is already like a global digital company, so that they could also, they are already making business in Japan in a larger scale.
yes, thank you. And Professor Hayashi, we're also reaching out to Indian schools in Japan, right?
That's also actually a treasure for us. They already know what it's like to be in Japan, but most of the students who graduated from the Indian schools in Japan go to Canada, Australia, United States. But we would like to attract this cohort to, for example, to the University of Tokyo or other universities in Japan and say that they can also study here. Yeah.
Great, thank you. How about you in the bus? So, yeah.
Thank you for your talk. My name is Harsh Gupta, and I am doctoral third-year student in Mechanical Engineering Department. More than question, I have few suggestions. So as we discussed how we can bring a lot of Indian students here and arise interest in them. So I have seen one of the program like Genesis. So it's a program with the engineering colleges, IITs. So I think that program can be extended to IISCRs, IISCs, and other prestigious universities of India as well, and like Delhi University. So many people from these universities go abroad. So if they can come here, they can get a chance to experience culture here. Maybe it can arise their interest, and they can become interested in working in Japan. Secondly, as we are discussing like how to attract high school students, so along with lectures, we can also incorporate some activities which is peculiar in Japan, let's say tree making ceremony and flower making ceremony. So hands-on experience, these experience give last long impressions on the students. And also we can run some program like high school student ambassadors. So we can make students as ambassador and incentivize them so they can promote their culture. All the students are active on social media and they would like to promote the culture if they can be incentivized accordingly. And another thing, we can also send some Japanese teachers, language teachers, and they can incorporate with Japanese schools or Indian schools, and they can teach Japanese language right from their high school. So in this way, when they will grow up, they will already know the language and they have already developed the interest in the Japanese economy and Japanese culture. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do you have any comments?
Very much.
Thank
You know, there are multiple things which we need to do.
Thank you.
So really appreciate your comments. Thank you.
So, in the back.
Ambassador George, thank you very much. My name is Anna Campo. I'm a PhD student here at the University of Tokyo. And as an international student, thank you for your comment on the work situation for students. We really appreciate that. We need that. My question is about You talked about the openness of the seas, and I think now it's the most important time to talk about these issues, considering also that we had the Palm 10, the Pacific Islands leader meeting this year. And I think that when we talk about countries such as Japan and India that have such power and technology, especially in what regards the sea and the oceans, what do you think could be favorable for these countries? You mentioned also the Marshall Islands, and I know that Papua New Guinea also is working a lot with technology and young people to promote and improve the situation, especially regarding climate change in the seas. Exactly. Do you think that Japan and India could bring something to the table in that discussion, because they are such great powers with such great connections? I think there's so much that can be done in that area. So, like, if you could give a comment on that, that would be great. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. See, when you talk about the Pacific Island countries, or for that matter, countries which are facing multiple challenges today, I would like to take your attention to the G20 meeting which we chaired. India was the chair of G20 last year. And we did three things. One, we brought African Union for the first time to the main table of G20. Africa is a very important continent, but faces multiple challenges. Many of the challenges which you mentioned, whether it is related to sea lanes or it is related to climate change, they face a lot of difficulties. And of course, debt is a major challenge they face. So their issues and challenges need to be brought to the main table of global agenda. That is what India did by bringing African Union as a permanent member of the G20. Second, I have shown you a slide on Global South Summit which we held. Why did we do that? 125 countries came together and told us their challenges they face. Climate change, security. What is the main challenge that the PIC countries, Pacific Island countries face today? Rising sea levels. So, and who was attending to, who was listening to that? We again brought that each of the challenges they face to the main table of G20. And third, of course, what we did was we were able to bring together a unanimous resolution, a declaration in a divided world. See, global good is very important. India's foreign policy, it has only two elements. One, welfare of the people of India. Second, global good. This is what determines what our foreign policy is. Everything we act on. So we have very good relationship with many of the African countries. Like you have the TICAD, no? We have a program called the IAFS. In fact, I was the India-Africa Forum Summit. I was the coordinator for that in 2014. Where we brought together 55 of the African countries to India for a summit. Again, we connect with them. Digital cooperation is something which we are able to extend it to all the countries. Space, we have a very successful space program. Again, this program is not just for India. It is for many of the countries in Africa and in the global south. Let me give you another example. We all face COVID. Almost 3 years. We face COVID. India was one country which made its own vaccines, Covaxin. And we gave the vaccine to 100 countries in the world. Let me tell you, many countries in the world would not have got vaccines had India not given them the vaccines. And many of it was grant. So this is how we connect with the global south, connect with the countries which face multiple problems. So we will continue to do that. Bilaterally and also plurilaterally. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we have time for two more questions, maybe. Let's go to you.
Thank you so much to UTokyo first for organizing this amazing opportunity. And thank you very much to Ambassador George for your wonderful talk. This question is directed at all of you. like in your talk, you spoke mostly about attracting Indian talent to Japan. But since the Indian talent is already here, I'd like to know what you'd like all of us, Indian students here in Japan, to do to increase the, like friendship between the two countries. What can we do for the cooperation and, like benefit of both the countries? So thank you. I'd like to know about that.
It's for all three of us. Okay. No, what we do from my point of view is that before coming here, I had a conversation with the then Japanese ambassador in Delhi. He told me, Ambassador, I have 5 consulates. I have JETRO, I have JBIC, I have JICA, I have Japan Foundation, all are present in India. We have huge presence. I don't have. I have the embassy in Tokyo and a consulate in Osaka. That's it. Of course, I am having a new consulate in Fukuoka. I'm opening it next year. So, but I told him, I have something which you don't have. I have 40,000 Indians in Japan. They are going to work with me to expand our relationship. I see a huge role for every Indian in Japan, whether it is students or professionals or even businessmen who are present here for generations. A huge role in connecting our two countries. In my embassy, we have a huge outreach program. I know, as I mentioned, I went to all the 47 prefectures. And mind you, Japanese prefectures are very rich. Most of them are more than 50 billion GDP. At least there are 80 countries in the world which has GDP less than 50 billion. Technically, you have around 30 countries in Japan. But as we say, an elephant doesn't know its strength. Japan, many a times I feel they don't know the strength. It's quite a rich country. And in terms of not just money, in terms of business, in terms of technology, in terms of manufacturing, each of these prefectures are important. Tokyo alone is not Japan. Japan is much bigger. And everywhere there is Indian community. I went to Okinawa. There are 50 students in OIST. They are India's representatives. And wherever Indian students are there, I see that there is they bring in a positive vibes, which is very good. So you have a big role to play to be part of our endeavor to connect between the two countries. And you can do it very well. First and foremost is excel in what you do. If you are a student in physics, be the best student in physics. That is what brings in that interest for India. Wow, Indian students one day bring positive energy, second day excel in what they do, whatever their field of activity. That makes a big difference. Thank you.
Yes. So yes, first of all, during your study here. So you also make some friends and also you're working together. But at the same time, it's as Ambassador George said, so it's so important to share all this, your own culture and Japanese culture, so that, so if you feel like kind of you want to have some more opportunity to know about Japanese culture, then maybe we might have to work on that in here to have some more, chances for you to kind of be exposed to such, cultural things in Japan. But if you also have some chances to show your cultures to Japanese friends or in your community, or you're in the neighbors and so on, then that would be a kind of a very, very fundamental. But it's so important. In between these two countries. So.
Thank you very much for asking this question, and also I am very thankful for you that you have chosen the University of Tokyo as your destination to study. And what I can say is that take every opportunity, every chance here at the University of Tokyo to grow yourself, your study, and also seize the next chance, and also excel what you do. That's the first and most important thing you can do during your stay in Japan for you, not for you, for yourself, but also for everybody, and see that you have had such a good experience at the University of Tokyo or in Japan, and tell your friends or your family that you experienced this and that. That really counts, I think. That counts any other, I think we advertise ourselves in the website and so on, but your voice counts most, I think. So please take every opportunity. We have so many opportunities to go for the scholarships, for the overseas trip, or collaboration, and all these things, and your advisor. So please, and if you have any questions or problems, and we have also a system to consult with and so on. So take every chance and opportunities. And thank you so much for asking this question.
So just curious, how many students are there from India? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6. Okay, so we can multiply that by 10 or 100 soon. Yeah. Unfortunately, we're running out of time, so the final question. So let's go to the back there. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ambassador George, for your visit to our university and your wonderful speech. And my name is Shun Hokazono, a fourth-year undergraduate student in the International Relations program in the College of Arts and Sciences at this university. On a personal note, I was doing an exchange in the United States last semester, and my roommate there was from India, and especially Mumbai. So for that reason as well, I was excited to be here today. And my question might be a little bit controversial, but you mentioned Quad in your speech. So my question is about Quad, and especially Quad in the coming years. And of course, administrations will shift in each country, and especially in the United States. And Trump administration is not so positive to multilateralism or the alliances, and is trying to withdraw a little bit from these alliances and multilateralism compared to other administrations due to his America First agenda and his transactional approach to foreign affairs. However, in my understanding, Prime Minister Modi has a relatively good relationship with President Trump compared to other kind of leaders in the world. So India is more prepared to the second Trump presidency, in my impression. So my question is, how is your country is going to do to ensure that this framework, Quad, is kind of meaningful for India, Japan, the United States, and Indo-Pacific and around the world in the coming years confronting the second presidency of Trump in the United States? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. You have put it very beautifully. Let me start by saying about India-US relationship. We have seen the first Trump administration, and now you will see the second Trump administration. India-US relationship is something very strong. It is a bipartisan relationship. I can say that it started getting stronger during the time of President Clinton. And then it continued with President George Bush, and then President Obama, and of course the first term of President Trump, and of course President Biden. So it's a bipartisan relationship which continues to grow irrespective of who is in the president in the US, because it is very deeply connected relationship. It is not just the political leadership relationship, it is also the Congress and the India, the legislative relationship. It is also at the level of the states and the people level. As I mentioned, there are 1.3 million Indian students abroad. Majority of them are studying in the US. So this is a connect which is very strong. And of course, when it comes to President Trump, there is a personal connect my Prime Minister had during the first time, and I am sure that we will continue to maintain relationship at the highest level. Coming to Quad, let us look at the history of the Quad. One of the important steps that the Trump administration took was to strengthen Quad. It was strengthened during his tenure. So whatever be the positions the governments, change governments take on multilaterals, I am sure that Quad will continue to grow, because it has been a positive factor in the Indo-Pacific and beyond. It's a concrete agenda which they have seen, whether it is supply chain, value chain, supply chain resilience, or whether it is quantum computing, whether it is COVID, fight against COVID with vaccines, you name it, all the constructive agenda which any group can have is there in the Quad agenda. And why Quad there? Why is Quad there? Quad is there because many other multilateral forums have failed. United Nations, which was set up in 1940s, has it reformed? It hasn't. Has it been able to stop any wars? No. So United Nations, which was set up in 1940s, failed to reflect the realities of today. That is why many countries are coming together and forming their own plurilateral organizations, whether it is G20 or Quad. And particularly in Quad, it is the like-minded countries which have come together. Each has something positive to offer. And I have mentioned to you what India brings to the table. 1/6 of the total population of the world, but not 1/6 of the problems of the world. So India is an asset to the Quad. India is an asset to Indo-Pacific. And we look forward to working with every government, Trump government and also the new government in Japan, to further strengthen Quad and our bilateral engagement and also our plurilateral engagement. I absolutely see no issues as far as Quad is concerned, as far as our bilateral relationship with the US is concerned. Thank you.
Thank you. On that inspiring answer, unfortunately, we've run out of time, so we have to close here, but please remain seated. Thank you very much for this wonderful discussion.
So thank you, Ambassador Sibi George, for your really warm and also inspiring remarks, as well as a great conversation with the students. Thank you so much. And I serve as the Executive Vice President of the University of Tokyo and overseeing the diversity and global affairs. And among many responsibilities, one of my most significant is the leading our India office and the national initiative to increase the number of students from India and other South Asian countries studying in Japan. So this role is important to me not only because it is my job, but because I deeply believe in the potential of a relationship with Indian scholars and students to create more vibrant academic community here and in the rest of Japan, as we all talked about today. And India is home to a vast pool of academically excellent students like you, and we are, of course, delightful to welcome them. But beyond academic excellence, India's incredible diversity, spanning linguistic, ethnic, religious, and other dimensions, offers so much to enrich our campus and society at large. And let me add some of the great Indians to the list of yours today. So yesterday, I was reflecting on how I encountered India during my teenage years. And I remember being deeply moved by the stories of remarkable and strong Indian women who have inspired not just their country, but the entire world. India is home to trailblazing women. Indira Gandhi, as the first female prime minister, broke barriers and steered the nation through critical moments with strength and determination. And I vividly recall reading Nehru's Glimpses of World History, a book he wrote while imprisoned in British India as a series of letters to a young Indira. It left a really lasting impression on me and remains one of the most influential books I read in my young age. And then there's Mother Teresa, who was born outside of India but made the country her home. Based in Kolkata, she dedicated herself to humanitarian work, serving the poorest of the poor, the sick and the dying. Her selfless efforts earned her immense respect and admiration, not just in India, but across the globe. Reflecting on these stories reminded me of how deeply India values and celebrates the achievements of women across so many fields. So I allowed myself to add some of the Indian women to your list of the great Indians. And I hope that more of our students will have the opportunity to study at Indian universities and then, in turn, contribute to our academic, social, and cultural landscape. And also, at the same time, I hope our students can go to India and study there. It is critically important for Japan to nurture individuals who understand and appreciate the depths and richness of Indian society and culture to help strengthen the bond between our two nations even more. But I'm confident today, after hearing your speech, that today's session with Ambassador George has inspired so many students here and all the students here, and to take steps toward these goals. Once again, thank you, Ambassador, for your valuable time and great speech. And let's look forward to welcoming you back to the campus also in the near future. Thank you very much.